Is it your belief that that he is a continued public threat? And is there a request also for detention that you anticipate will be made in this case?
So the Department of Justice does not issue arrest warrants, grand juries do. And so the grand jury returned an indictment and arrest warrant. I expect that there will be communication with Mr. Comey's counsel, and we'll go from there. This case will proceed like hundreds of others do every year. There will be some sort of arraignment set by the judge or assigned to the magistrate judge, and when that happens, you'll know about it.
But in this is being handled differently from the last time he was indicted. That's my reference. In this case, the department requested an arrest warrant, right?
Well, I don't think that it's public or clear what the department requested. The grand jury issued an arrest warrant. Go ahead. Yes.
Sir, how will you prove intent when, as the director had acknowledged, Mr. Comey said he did not associate 86 with doing harm, and he took it down promptly, said it was political speech, not an intent to harm the president?
Well, it's not. This case was indicted today. This conduct occurred about a year ago, May 15th of last year. There's been a tremendous amount of investigation. And how do you prove intent in any case? You prove intent with witnesses, with documents, with the defendant himself to the extent it's appropriate. And that's how we'll prove intent in this case. And so I think that talking about what Mr. Comey will or will not do if there's a trial, when there's a trial, it's very premature for me to do that today.
General Blanch, I wanted to ask you a quick question about, there's a number of other different types of conduct Comey has been accused of over the past. One of them is abuse of FISA warrants. I wanted to ask if there's anything that we could talk about today in regards to that, but on a separate matter, if I may ask any more updates about the ballistics forensic analysis with the shooting that happened over the weekend.
So on the first question, no, there's nothing else to report about any investigations or anything involving Mr. Comey except the indictment that was returned today by the grand jury. I don't have anything further to talk about with the ballistics that are still being analyzed. And I said it yesterday, and every law enforcement member who is speaking on this issue is saying the same thing as they should, which is that this is an ongoing investigation with really, really smart experts trying to understand what happened in that shooting and where the bullets went and ended up and where the bullets came from. And once that is at a place where we can definitively say, to the extent we can definitively say, we will let you know.
Director Comey posted this almost a year ago. Why bring this case now? Did you always feel like this was a strong prosecution, or did something change recently?
This investigation just didn't come now. It's the result of a lot of work by law enforcement over the past year. We don't time when we bring cases around anything other than when the investigation is at a place where we should go to the grand jury, and that's exactly what we did in this case as well.
As a former FBI director, you may not agree with what he did. Should he be able to turn himself in as a former FBI director? He's not a flight risk.
I didn't say he can't turn himself in.
So he's not under arrest right now, and he may be able to work
I don't
out
know
something.
whether he's under arrest right now. I'm here talking to you. The grand jury issued an arrest warrant. I think that the way that this happens is different in every case. It's fact intensive. It depends on, you're right, who the defendant is. It depends on whether he has counsel. It depends on what the judge wants done. And so I don't know when the judge will schedule an initial arraignment, if that will be scheduled by the magistrate or the district court judge. I am sure, I don't know if you want to speak to that, or if it's just something that will come up in the next coming days. You'll know when it happens. As far as what Mr. Comey does between now and then, I'm going to leave that up to the line prosecutors in the Eastern District of North Carolina, the FBI agents, and the work that they're doing.
Why, Director Patel, maybe you said that it's a complicated thing. A lot of people might think it's an easy case. Why did it take so long? I know that you guys chose to go with this now, but to the layman just looking at this case, or layperson looking at the case, it was an Instagram post. He apologized. Why did it take so long?
Well, I'm not going to get into the details of the investigation itself, but a lot of these cases, you could look at when the threats were made and when charges are brought. They're not easy cases. And so we have to, there's a communication that's sent in allegedly in this case. And so that means that we have to look at devices. Mr. Comey is a lawyer. He has lawyers. So the extent that we're looking at materials that are potentially privileged, we have to get a wall, set up a wall, and let totally independent lawyers look at those. And so that doesn't happen overnight or quickly. And the statute of limitations on this is 5 years. We brought it in under 1 year. So that's really where we're at.
It's clear that you don't want to talk specifics today. But to the American public, can you at least give us a sense of whether you have hard evidence or evidence that shows that Mr. Comey intended for President Trump to be harmed? And then secondarily, for critics who say, where does free speech end and an actual threat of violence begin?
I don't know what critics say that, especially today, but it's not a very difficult line to look at, and it's not, in my mind, a difficult line for one to cross over one way or the other. We cannot, you are not allowed to threaten the President of the United States of America. That's not my decision. That's Congress's decision in a statute that they passed that we charge multiple times a year. And so whether there is a defense, as you just described, Maybe there is, but the government will have evidence. I am not going to talk about the evidence that we have. That's unfair to him. It's unfair to the prosecutors, but it's enough to say that the grand jury returned an indictment. I'm just take one more question.
Thank you, sir. Mary Margaret with the Daily Wire. Should we expect more indictments of this sort? For example, in 2020, Gretchen Whitmer did a TV hit with 8645 on her desk in the background. Is that the kind of thing you would pursue? And then just really quickly, should Comey expect to face more charges for his role in the Russia collusion investigations?
I'm not going to comment on other investigations involving Mr. Comey. He was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia. That was dismissed on procedural grounds because of the judge's finding regarding the U.S. attorney. So that case is under appeal. As far as other investigations that are happening, it would not be appropriate or fair for me to comment on that time. As far as other incidents of threats against the President of the United States, those will be investigated. Every case is different. The facts are different. Who makes the threat matters. What the threat says matters.